Thousands have been evacuated as Mayon Volcano status is raised to alert level 3. Volcanologists are monitoring Mayon's activities to determine whether there's a need to expand the restricted areas to ensure the public's safety. Is the government prepared for the long haul as state volcanologists say Mayon's unrest may not end sooner than we hope for? Good evening, I'm Ruth Cabal, sitting in for Pia Ontiveros. Welcome to your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. President Bongbong Marcos visited Albay province today to see the impact of Mayon Volcano's eruption. He wants concerned agencies and officials to ensure a longer supply of relief packages for evacuees.
Is the estimate the NDRMC LGU can only sustain 14 days of response with the 30 million. So 40 days, they can only sustain the continuous support for the evacuees for 14 days. So if our working number, I think our working number should be 90 days. So mabuti na yung matapos na mas maaga kaysa sa anticipated, kaysa mabitin naman ang ating bigay na.
In response, Social Welfare Secretary Rex Gatchalian assured the president they already have in place the supply for affected residents enough to meet his expectations. Our guests for tonight, Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLC's Volcano Monitoring and Eruption Prediction Division Chief, Mariton Bornas. We'll also have later in the show Albay Governor Grex Lagman. First, let's get the latest from PHIVOLC's. Good evening to you, Ms. Mariton.
Well, good evening.
Can we just get an activity about Mayon's latest activity today, an update?
Okay, for the past few hours, since 5 o'clock this morning, we've had an additional 149 rockfall events and an additional few pyroclastic density currents. These are the very hazardous mixtures of volcanic ash, hot gas, and rock that we see are cascading down the volcano and are the principal primary volcanic hazards from Mayon Volcano. So that brings the total number of rockfall events to 1,741, and the total number of pyroclastic density currents to 20 since the volcano entered unrest on June 1. We also have two major lava flows that are now advancing down the Miisi, this is the southern, and the Bonga, this is the southeastern gullies of Mayon Volcano. Based on our monitoring, the lava flows have extended a little over a kilometer from the crater of the volcano, possibly down to 1.4 kilometers. And today, we have again measured a very, very low sulfur dioxide emission from the volcano. It's 193 tons per day. These are values that are equivalent to the background or baseline emissions that we expect from Mayon during quiescence. We also have recorded only one very weak low-frequency volcanic earthquake. And again, for this eruption, this is quite a perplexing behavior of Mayon, that even though we have been seeing lava since June 11, we have not had any significant raises in the seismic energy being released, and as well as in the volcanic gas being released by the volcano.
Siguro ma'am, para just to make it simpler, kasi sinabi nyo nga perplexing, parang kumbaga nagtataka kayo doon sa behavior nung bulkan, ano? So ano po bang ibig sabihin yan? Medyo humina siya, or yung possibility of a hazardous eruption? Ano pong likelihood?
Okay, we need to evaluate the behavior of Mayon on a day-to-day basis based on the prevailing parameters. For today, based on this low seismicity, low seismic energy, low sulfur dioxide output, the current outlook is we may be looking at a simple effusion of lava activity, and similar to what we are seeing now. And this could take as long as a few weeks to a few months. For example, in 2006, Mayon put out about 80 million cubic meters of lava very quietly. And this took 4 months. Okay. So, but we need to again look at the changes day to day in the parameters of the volcano, because again, Mayon is the type of volcano that can change its behavior immediately. So we need to catch that through our monitoring.
But at this point, di ba yung 6-kilometer danger zone, pero pina-evacuate na rin, may recommendation rin to evacuate yung nasa 7. But in the past kasi, di ba, pag matindi yung activity ng Mayon, you can reach up to 8 kilometers or 9 kilometers na pinapa-evacuate, ano?
Yes. So the 7-kilometer the 7-kilometer communities were only advised to prepare. They are not going to be evacuated as of now. We are not yet recommending this, but we don't see any reason based on our monitoring to recommend additional evacuation. But if necessary, if we see a change in the behavior of the volcano, especially if we see an increase in the output of lava and probably some explosive minor explosion events like lava fountains, we will definitely recommend additional precautionary evacuation to the 7-kilometer. And maybe because it will really depend on whether and on the degree of change in the parameters, we might consider extending the 7-kilometer danger zone to just the south and southeast sectors of the volcano, where the crater is facing and where the greatest hazards may be dispersed.
So dun sa part na yun, which municipalities or cities yung nakakasakop doon, Ms. Bornas?
Okay, yes, matagal na po na ang mga the communities that are exposed to the highest hazards currently are Legazpi City, Daraga, and this is Kamalig, and Kamalig. No? So these three city and towns, these three places, no?
Okay. Ms. Bornas, kanina President Marcos visited Albay and he was saying that dapat yung contingency should be minimum of 45 to 90 days. Sapat na po ba yun?
Yes. I think that hopefully that will be enough, because most of the eruptions of Mayon are really just within the 2 to 3 month period. No? There are only may mga unusual na events like what I said, yung 2006 eruption. This was a really, really long lava flow that took 4 months to emplace very quietly. And the lava flow actually breached or extended beyond the 6-kilometer permanent danger zone, no, in the Bongagali. So may mga exceptions, but this kind of eruption is actually very less threatening than the other types of eruption.
That's good to know. Fivox Mariton Bornas will still join us later. We'll be back after a quick break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Politics as usual. Our next guest is Albay Governor Grex Lagman. Good evening to you, Governor. Thank you for joining us. Governor?
I'm happy to be here.
It's a busy day for you. Just a few minutes ago, I saw the president was just there in your province. Any specific orders or instructions from him?
Well, there was guidance from him in the sense that he assured the local government units affected by this Mayon activity that the quick response fund, their respective quick response funds, would not be used entirely. And that extends to the province, I think what's important with respect to the visit of the president, that he was actually he had personal knowledge now of what is actually happening in our evacuation centers, and protocols have been laid down as to which department will take the lead in terms of collating all the data and the requests that the province needs, as well as the 9 affected LGUs, with respect to how we can actually secure our requests. Para wala pong masyadong masasayang na pondo, wala pong duplication. We have decided that it will be the Department of National Defense, because we all know that the DND secretary is also the one who chairs the NDRRMC. So meron na pong coordinating body na naitalaga kanina.
Pero kanina rin binanggit nyo kasi yung quick response fund nyo is, even the president pointed this out, is just good for 14 days. So paano po yung funding?
Yes.
May assurance ba? And then also, kamusta rin ang overall nalagay po ng mga evacuees?
Meron pong naibigay po mga checks kanina sa mga ibang sa mga LGUs na affected, but the province has yet to get a check. Ewan ko lang kung meron talaga kaming check yung marireceive, but I guess meron naman after he was apprised of my report. So far po, maganda naman po yung takbo ng aming response. I would say it's satisfactory, but I think it's important that we have response desks all over the evacuation centers para po mabigyan agad ng action yung mga gaps na kailangan ma-plug in.
I know Albay is always, and even the residents would always say this, na sanay na sila no, sa yung ganitong behavior or pag-aalboroto ng bulkan. But Governor, this is the first time that we're actually having this kind of activity of Mayon, and we're still in a pandemic. So pagdating po dyan na aside from yung health concerns ng mga evacuees, paano po pinaghahandaan pa rin ito in terms of yung overall health nila?
Yes, totoo po yun. Lumalabas talaga yung 3 overriding issues that have to be addressed would be health, sanitation, and also water. There should be access to potable water. And I'm happy to note that the OCD to the DND has donated 3 water filtration trucks. And tomorrow, the ILG Secretary Abalos has committed the delivery by noon of at least 40 water purification systems from the MMDA. So I think these are good takeaways from what has happened earlier. And tama po kayo, ang isang marching order ng presidente dapat siguro 90 days yung ating minimum dito. Meaning to say, maghanda tayo po for 90 days and not just 45 days. Yun po kasi yung lumalabas based on projections. But to make sure, 90 days, and I think what was also important, an issue discussed was about how to help in the psychosocial needs of evacuees. How can we actually implement livelihood programs? Ito pong mga tinatawag na yung psychosocial programs for children and mothers. Importante po yun kasi ito po yung mga hidden costs ng evacuation na kailangan po natin ma-address.
Governor, you also mentioned na rin, residents are also concerned about their livelihood. Kanina, I saw during the briefing, may report naman about yung agriculture, even yung kanilang mga alagang hayop. Pero also, paano kaya halimbawa DSWD's Cash for Work program, kailan po gugulong yan, and even the financial assistance?
Okay. Actually, ang usapan mo namin ni DSWD Secretary Rex is to come up with a plan, an integrated plan para sama-sama na po lahat. Ano po yung mga pwede nilang maitulong in terms of cash assistance, because we believe that even as evacuees are mandated to stay inside evacuation centers, there are also innovative ways by which we can actually encourage them to buy things that they really need. Kasi hindi naman po pwedeng punuan ng mga dole-outs ang kanilang mga pangangailangan, and by having cash on hand, pwede po sila lumabas. Of course, kailangan na ito po ay supervised. Pumunta po ng mga palengke to buy important commodities, basic commodities. So, hindi naman po nasa stock or napupurnada po yung ating local economy. So importante po ko yung complement ng emergency cash transfer.
But siguro, Governor, moving forward rin, paano naman po long term, no, yung plan for the permanent
Long term.
relocation of those na usually bumabalik
Yes.
pa rin sa danger zone?
Ruth, it's a question of poverty. It's also a question of socio-cultural parameters na kung saan we have farmers that have been living there for like 4 generations prior to at present. So, ang kailangan dito talaga is to have the political will, ma-explain sa kanila na ito po ay perennial problem kung hindi natin ito bibigyan ng mas long-term na solution tulad po ng resettlement, permanent resettlement to sites na hindi po within the 6-kilometer danger zone. Wala pa talagang batas dito, Ruth, wala pang national law dito. So I guess there should also be a complement on the part of the national legislature to come up with a national law para mas may teeth yung aming gagawin. Pero palagay ko po, even sans a national law, we can actually conduct a housing summit. Involve natin ang DSUD, involve natin ang Department of Agrarian Reform, involve natin ang Department of Agriculture, and ang DOLE. Kasi kailangan po, kung magre-resettle lang naman po tayo ng mga tao na nasa danger zone, they can reasonably expect na meron silang trabaho, meron silang maayos na bahay, etc.
Okay.
So, hindi po to, it's not as easy as 1, 2, 3, but it has to start after things normalize. Kailangan na magsimula po ito ngayon because otherwise we will be beset by the same kinds of problems that we're facing right now because kulang yung ating long-term planning. Kailangan talaga ma-convince natin sila na this is the best for them. It does not mean, Ruth, na pag sila po ay hindi na nakatira doon sa 6-kilometer danger zone, hindi na sila pwede mag-farm ng mga lupa doon, pwede naman. But they cannot be residents of the same. They cannot live there.
Okay.
They can work there.
Okay, we'll hear more from our guests when we return. This is Politics as usual. You're still with Politics as usual. We're discussing Mount Mayon's eruption with FIVOC's Mariton Bornas and Albay Governor Grex Lagman. Let's get the final words from our guests. Let's start with Ms. Bornas. Kayo po, ma'am, your message to the residents of Albay, balancing safety in case a major eruption happens. But at the same time, hindi rin sana tayo nag-waste ng resources. Ano po?
Yes pa. So, alam po natin na ang mga kababayan po natin, no, memorize na po nila to. No? Matagal na rin po tayong nakikipag-ugnayan sa kanila. They know that they should stay away from the 6-kilometer permanent danger zone. And for those communities outside of the 7 kilometers, yung nasa 7, yung outside of the 6-kilometer permanent danger zone, yung nasa 7 and 8, kailangan po ang may kahandaan na. Let us be prepared physically and emotionally to be mentally to be evacuated kapag nag-increase po yung activity, no, kapag lumala po ang bulkan. Alam po natin na kayo po ay nababahala sa ngayon po currently. The parameters are very low. The chances of an explosive eruption currently are quite low. Kailangan po nating bantayan o manmanan every day. And so, konting tiis lang po, and we hope that, and when we see that the volcano will not change its behavior, we can actually bring down the alert level once everything is safe for you. No? So, we will not be too conservative. Alam po natin yung pagtitiis nila sa mga evacuation centers.
Okay.
We also are familiar with the conditions there.
Okay, let's now go to Governor. Sir, binanggit po kanina ni Presidente na the preparation should be 45 to 90 days. Are we prepared for that? And then your message also to your constituents.
Yes, very clear po si Presidente na it has to be at least 90 days. And because of that, he was convinced, Ruth, na kailangan talaga ng support from the national government. I'm happy. Ang message ko lang po is that we can clearly see that kung may maganda po na local and national dynamic between and among government agencies from both divisions, political divisions, talagang kaya natin po itong bigyan ng magandang response. Nasa response stage pa lang tayo, Ruth, but I think after this, talagang that's where the real work will start. Kasi magpaplano tayo talaga how we can really prevent this perennial problem from being such. It has to be addressed, and it has to be addressed now.
While you're with us na rin, Governor, pahabol na lang kasi may mga turista pa rin pala na na nagpupunta diyan. But there are designated
Yes.
places kung saan lang po sila pwede
Yes. As a matter of safety and health principle, if you're outside the 6-kilometer danger zone, kasi nasa alert level 3 pa tayo, you are actually safe. So we encourage tourists to please visit Albay and see for yourselves the beauty and the wrath of Mayon Volcano, what it can offer in terms of visuals. It can be better appreciated at night dahil may contrast talaga. And historically naman, Ruth, we have an influx of tourists whenever Mayon has these kinds of activity.
Thank you to our guests tonight, Governor Grex Lagman and FIVOX Mariton Bornas. We've been told before, don't talk politics at the dinner table or at a family reunion or in Viber groups, and risk warfare, digital or otherwise. But we can talk about it here at this table on this show. Your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. I'm Ruth Cabal. See you back here next Wednesday, 8 p.m. Good evening.